Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We got UFC 326 final predictions where Max Holloway is defending the BMF belt against Charles Oliveira. And then in the co-main event, we have RDR taking on Borralho. But before that, we're going to go to the very beginning of the card, which I'm excited about, which is Cody Garbrandt, the former bantamweight champion of the world, taking on Xiaolong. Now, both these guys are coming off a loss. Obviously, Cody Garbrandt, he is, I'm assuming, the fan favorite. He's been a world champion before. Very, very popular inside the masses of mixed martial arts. I mean, the guy has been around for a very, very long time. Now, we look at Xiaolong. Not a lot of people know a lot about him, but he is sporting a record of 27-10, and he's also coming off a loss. And now, when you have two athletes who are coming off a loss, they want to get back in that win column, right? Because nobody likes to go on a 2-fight losing streak, then a 3-fight losing streak. It doesn't look good on your resume. And as an athlete, when you're preparing for 6 to 8 weeks, it doesn't feel good when you lose 2 fights back to back. Now, Cody Garbrandt, he fought Figgy. He got submitted by Deiveson Figueiredo, and then he lost his last one. Can Cody Garbrandt get back to the winner column? Obviously, being a former champion, he beaten the likes of one of the GOATs in the bantamweight division, which is Dominic Cruz. Can he get back to the old style of Cody Garbrandt with blazing hands, great takedowns, great kicks? We're gonna have to find out. Biggest thing for Cody Garbrandt is he's got to get back in the mindset of believing in himself, the world champion beater that he used to be. And I'm not saying he's not that person anymore, but as we age and things change in our life, sometimes we lose that fire. And I think Cody has to find it in order to get a victory over Xiaolong. But Xiaolong's got to take Cody and put him on his back. Cody loves to stand and bang. He loves throwing hands. But if you look at what Deiveson Figueiredo was able to do to him when they fought, he was able to take it down, get his back, lock up a body triangle, and be able to submit Cody Garbrandt when he got his back. So if I was Xiaolong, I'm taking the fight to the ground. I'm not going to stand and bang with Cody because we all know he's got dynamite in his hands. Y'all saw what he did to Homeboy. He knocked him out. He ducked down and went, whop! So when we take a look at everything given, you know, Cody on a 2-fight losing streak and Xiaolong on a 1-fight losing streak, I'm going to have to go with Cody Garbrandt. Cody Garbrandt needs this victory. You know, I'm sure, you know, for somebody being a former world champion, he doesn't want to go on a 3-fight losing streak. It just doesn't feel good. Doesn't look good on the resume. And, you know, I think he has the tools to get it done. And hopefully he's in a place in his life where he go out there and be the best version of himself. And guys, when we're talking about UFC 326, Max Holloway taking on Charles Oliveira for the BMF, we got to let you guys know this video was sponsored by PrizePicks. Now, PrizePicks, a daily fantasy sports game played directly from your phone. It's very simple. Get on your phone, go to the App Store and download PrizePicks. When you do that, use my promo code MIGHTY. Now, with PrizePicks UFC 326, it's right here. Let me tell you guys what I'm liking right now. Okay, Max Holloway, high volume athlete. They have him, they're predicting that he's going to have 94.5 significant strikes. I don't know if Charles Oliveira can take that type of beating. So I like less with that. Also, they have Charles Oliveira landing 47.5 significant strikes. That's a hard one because I feel like Max does a good job moving around, and I feel like Charles Oliveira, when he hits and he lands a significant strikes, I feel he has a lot of power behind it. But also, Max Holloway has fought guys like Dustin Poirier, Justin Gaethje, where they landed a lot, but they never were able to put him down. So that one, you could go with more with that because Max is durable. So I think more is good there. Here's another one. These ones are kind of, I'm biting at the bit for these ones. Raul Rosas Jr. landing 19.5 significant strikes. I like more on that just because I feel like Rafont, I mean, he could get knocked out. Both those guys get knocked out. I don't foresee, you know, Raul getting knocked out, but Rafont, I know he can take a lot of damage. There's also the grappling aspect, but it's right at that sweet spot. They can get that done in 1 round or 2 rounds. And then they even have Max Holloway 3.5 rounds. Ooh, that's a hard one because it could go all 5 rounds, or, you know, there could be a knockout. So I like less with 3.5 rounds. Like, that's a hard thing because Max can knock you out, or you can go all 5 rounds. So guys, locking your picks for UFC 326 at the right place, which is PrizePicks. Now, shout out to PrizePicks for sponsoring this video. Now let me get back to the breakdown of UFC 326 for the BMF belt between Charles Oliveira versus Max Holloway. Now, let's get to the next fight on the card, which is a fan favorite, Raul Rosas Jr. He's taking on Rob Font. Now, we had Raul on the Mighty Cast. Hopefully he's not broke. He didn't spend all his money at the Gucci store or the Louis Vuitton store, but he's getting a fight which was supposed to happen a while ago, but Raul Jr. backed out of that fight because he was injured. Smart by him, because so many people in mixed martial arts fight injured, and that's an unfortunate position that all these athletes are in, because honestly, we all need money. We're fucking broke. Well, not me, but they are. So when you're looking at Rob Font versus Raul, there's a huge age gap. Raul is 21 years old. His career is just now starting. And you look at Rob Font, he's 38 years old. So it's going to come down to, you know, old generation versus the new generation, where when we typically look at the new generation, they're pretty much a complete fighter, where the older generation, they're complete, but they didn't do this, right? When Raul was just being born, when Rob Font was 17 years old, if my math's correct. Now, Raul has suffered one loss in his career, but since then, he's been on a 4-fight win streak. So this gentleman is starting to get his confidence back, and we know he wants to keep that ore farming going. When he get that money, he will go out there, I'm gonna swipe here, I'm gonna swipe here, I'm gonna swipe here. He needs his victory. But let's get to the keys to victory for both these guys. Now, Rob Font is very known for his good boxing. He's got great boxing, he comes in behind his jab, very long for 135, but also is Raul Jr. So key to victory number one for Rob Font is he's got to get his jab going. He's got to get his hands and his jab going, keeping him at the edge of his distance, right? You want to make sure you're able to keep Raul Jr. at boxing range, right? And one of the things you want to do too is that when you have somebody come up in mixed martial arts, and every art form of mixed martial arts, meaning that he learned how to box, he learned how to kickbox, he learned how to wrestle, he learned how to do jiu-jitsu all together. When you try to keep him in one element of mixed martial arts, they don't do as well, right? So if Rob Font can keep Raul Jr. inside one realm of fighting, which is Rob Font's biggest strength is boxing, I think that's going to serve him a lot better. And key to victory number 3, stay off your back. If you get put on your back, you got to make sure he doesn't come up and wrestle up and get caught with a head and arm or give up his neck, where Raul Jr. is going to look for a guillotine. You got to make sure you let the youngster know that Rob Font is here to keep on climbing the ranks for the bantamweight division. Now let's go to Chi-Wee-Wee. What does Raul got to do in order to get this victory over Rob Font? So the key victory number 1 for Raul Jr. is mix it up. Raul Rosas Jr. is a young phenom, a young star. He's been fighting for so long. He got brought up into the fight game because his dad wanted his kids to be active in some type of form of martial arts. So Raul, he's super well-rounded. He can fight on the feet, he can fight on the grappling, and he also trains in Las Vegas. Now, if you guys ever go to visit Las Vegas, they have so many great gyms. You go over here, you have Maki Visamichi. You go over here, you have Aljamain Sterling and Merab. You go over here, you have this athlete. So he has a small team around him that they go to different pockets of the gyms where he's going to get so many different looks. So whatever Rob Font brings to him, I'm sure Raul has been able to see it at some point in time in his career. So, and when you look at Rob Font, it's a totally different mindset training, where he's at Faraz Sahabi, where it's more of a connected gym, where he's not bouncing around in Montreal doing different things. So key to victory number 1, he's got to mix it up and keep Rob Font always guessing. Key to victory number 2, utilize your grappling. I've seen you grapple before. I've seen you go bangers rounds with our boy Merab Dvalishvili. I think if you're able to put Rob Font on his back, smother him, I don't think he's going to be able to get where he needs to be successful. Let it all hang out and show the fans why you're a fan favorite. Now, with all that being given to you guys, and as I digested, I'm going to have to go with Chi-Wee-Wee, Raul Rosa Jr. I think he's too young. I think he's strong. He's fit. I think him coming into this fight, they were supposed to fight before, so he had a long training camp to get ready for Rob Font, where I think he's going to be able to put it together and be able to stop Rob Font. Now, let us get to the co-main event of the evening. Carl taking on RDR, Rainer de Ritter. Now, Carl, I had big hopes for him because he's a middleweight and he's very athletic. He's part of the Fighting Nerds groups, and he's very dangerous on the feet. Now, he did just lose a 5-round fight to Nasruddin, but he's still there in title contentions at that middleweight division, where it's, we're kind of waiting for Hamzat Shemaev, Sean Strickland just spot. We just don't know who's going to get the next title shot, and this is where Kyle can come in there and steal it. Now, when you look at RDR, former 2-divisional champion and 1 champion. Obviously, the biggest thing that he just did is in his recent fights is he did finish Bo Nickal with a beautiful knee. He was closing the void and throws a beautiful knee into the void. Boom! Drops Bo Nickal. And then the biggest thing to stain on his career is that this man has quit 2 times in his career inside of a fight. 1 time in 1 championship, and recently in his last fight inside of the octagon. So the biggest thing going in this fight is that will RDR quit? But when he did suffer that loss of Brendan Allen, that man fought 5 times in 1 year. He's not a small guy, he's a big guy. So that's 5 weight cuts within a year's time. And then also, when you look at who else has done this, Merab Dvalishvili, and my fucking dog just walked in here. It's a wear and tear on your body because you're always in training camp. You never get an opportunity to actually relax and smell the roses. But RDR, he took a step back. He was like, I got to figure out my conditioning and I want to take some time off. I know what it's like. You get in a new organization, you have a lot of opportunities to make a lot of money, you're on a steamroll, and all that money is just being, boom, thrown right at you. Now, when we look at both these athletes and the key to victory for these guys to get a W, let's start with Borralho. Here's one of the key to victories that Borralho has to do in order to get the win over RDR. Key to victory number 1, push the pace. Obviously, we look in, RDR's previous fights. He does do very well when the pace is being pushed, but when the pace is being pushed at such a high volume, he tends to fall off when he's not able to dictate the fight. I would roll the dice to see if he actually has his cardio in check. So that is one big key to victory for Borralho in order to force the fight to go in his way of just being all over RDR, throwing body kicks, throwing the hands, because he is more of a grappler, and I'm speaking of RDR. So key to victory number 2, let the hands go. Don't be scared to throw the body kick. Don't be scared to let your hands go and force RDR to make a bad decision in a shot. If Borralho's got his hands going, he's throwing body kicks, RDR catches one, he stuffs it and throws a knee in there, it's gonna drain the gassing of RDR. And key to victory number 3, don't allow RDR to get his body lock around you, because RDR is a big boy, he's got long arms. If he's able to get that body lock and start throwing knees to the body, draining and weighing heavy on Borralho, it's gonna drain out Borralho's gas tank. Now, let's go to the key to victories for RDR. Key to victory number 1 for him is he's gotta manage that gas tank. We've seen it time and time. When you see an athlete quit 2 times inside of his fights, just on conditioning alone or his body shut down, he's got to do a better job at managing it. But it's a double-edged sword, because you look at some of RDR's wins over Bo Nickal, Robert Whitaker, he got those wins by overwhelming his opponents and outgritting them. Robert Whitaker put a beating on him, but he was able to withstand that beating and be able to beat Robert Whitaker. Same thing with Bo Nickal. He was able to outlast him, but when he fought Brendan Allen was able to out-gas tank him and hurt him. Like, I think it's just he's got to manage that gas tank. If he can't manage that gas tank without pushing it, he's got to be able to push it a little bit, right? Because if he's so scared to manage the gas tank, he's gonna let Borralho be able to dictate the fight, and you don't want that, right? So key to victory number 1 for RDR is he's got to manage the gas tank. Key to victory number 2, keep Borralho where he's not safe, where I think it's where you grapple him, get him down, use your big long body, be able to pin him down and pass his guard, get the side control, and look for your submission game. That's one thing that RDR does very well, is once he's able to get the fight to the ground, he's able to look for a submission, armbar, Kimura, reverse triangle. I've seen him do a lot of good things when he gets his opponents to the ground. RDR, the skill set's there, his stand-up is really decent, but the biggest factor for him is he's got to manage that gas tank. And so with all those things being brought to the table, ladies and gentlemen, we're sitting here, we're digesting UFC 326 co-main event. And with that being said, I'm gonna have to go with Borralho. The reason why is because RDR has quit twice in his mixed martial arts career, and when somebody has quit before, sometimes those thoughts and those things they creep back in your mind, right? Whether it's his mind shutting down or his body shutting down. And for that, I'm gonna have to go to Kyle. Okay, now when it comes to the main event of the evening, you have Max Blessed Holloway, the BMF champion, taking on Charles Oliveira. Now, guys, this is a rematch in the making, 10 years in the making. These guys fought back in 2016. We had Max Holloway on the Mighty Cast. We talked to him, and like he said, these guys are two different athletes from the time they first fought. Obviously, the first time they fought, Max Holloway ended up beating him. You saw Charles Oliveira, he grabbed his throat, he sat down, and they took him to the doctor, and they thought he tore his esophagus or he tore it before it. Turns out they didn't know what was wrong with him. But since then, they have both gone on an amazing tear in both of their divisions. Obviously, Max Holloway stayed down at 145. He had a lot of success beating Jose Aldo, Korean Zombie, beating a lot of guys out there. And then now he goes up to 155. He knocks out Justin Gaethje, become the BMF, and then he sends Dustin Poirier on a loss on his last fight of his career. But then when you look at what Charles Oliveira has been able to do since he was at 145 and gone to 155, he beats the likes of Michael Chandler, Dustin Poirier, he beats Justin Gaethje, then he gets sent to the shadow realm by Ilia Topuria. So these guys have both had success and some losses in their career, but now they come to the second fight 10 years in the making. Now let's talk about Charles Oliveira. Let's talk about the keys to victory, what he needs to do in order to beat Max Holloway. Key to victory number one, do not box with the best boxer in the UFC, which is Max Holloway. Don't do that. He will be a fool to try to box the best boxer in the UFC, which is Max Holloway. Charles Oliveira has got to be able to use his kicks, his elbows, close that void, and get his hands on Max Holloway. If he tries to stand and bang with Max Holloway, Max is too good with his footwork, too good with the combinations, and he'll probably end up piecing Charles Oliveira up. You saw what Max Holloway did to Justin Gaethje and Dustin Poirier, which those two guys were able to drop Charles Oliveira. So, key to victory number one for Charles Oliveira, do not box with Max Holloway. Use your kicks, your knees, your clinch work. Key to victory number two, use your greatest weapon in this fight, which is your grappling. Go out there, close the void, shoot on Max Holloway. That's one thing we don't see a lot of what Max Holloway does is sprawling and out grappling people, right? He hasn't been in a grappling fest fight where I shoot, he sprawls, I go to my back, I elevate him, I go through his legs, he tries to run away, I come up, I get his back, I jump on his back. We haven't seen Max Holloway have to scramble like that. So that's one thing Charles Oliveira could bring to the fight in this fight against Max Holloway. Key to victory number three for Charles Oliveira is don't get caught in a slugfest, right? You saw after he fought Ilia Topuria, he sat there and he was like, you know, I should have used my range. I should have used my kicks, my high kicks, my push kicks to keep him out of reach because I was the longer opponent. We have seen Max Holloway get outstruck by Alex Volkanovski just predicated on footwork and IQ. I don't think Charles Oliveira has the IQ of Alex Volkanovski, but that's one thing he could use if he takes a blueprint away from Max is trying to move around, boom, push kick, body kick, leg kick, move around. That's one thing I would take. But let's look at the plus side of the card, Max Holloway. Now, key to victory number one for Max Holloway is keep it at a boxing range. You've been able to really outbox a lot of people inside the UFC. I mean, you look at your list of guys you were able to outbox. I think you can do this with Charles Oliveira as long as he's able to keep that distance and not allow Charles Oliveira to get the grappling or close in and get the clinch and make it a dirty fight. Key difference number two, Max can fight in the clinch, but he's gotta be careful because once he clinches, his hips are close and Charles Oliveira can lock a body lock, a step deep and double on his thing. He's boxing, and then Charles comes in to try to shut it down. Max either keeps the range and keeps boxing, or he closes in, forces Charles Oliveira to make a bad decision, lands a knee, hurts him, he goes his back, and then he has to side there. So with all that, I got the turkey, I got the yams, I got the corn on the cob, I got the collard greens, all put in front of you guys. Now, when we look at that, who do I have winning in the main event against Charles Oliveira versus Max Holloway? I'm gonna have to go with Max Holloway. I think Max is in his new weight class at 155. I think he's strong here. I think he's healthy. He's only been knocked out one time in his career, and that was by Ilia Topuria, which Ilia Topuria put both these guys to sleep. And Charles doesn't fight like Ilia. You know, Ilia's able to get their position and bop bop and hit where Charles likes to walk up high. I'm edging my pick with Max Holloway. So guys, make sure you guys get active in the comment section down below to let me know, did I get a lot of these right, or am I gonna be taking a big ass L after the fights. And of course, we'll be doing an instant reaction after the fight and come back here, and as I'll give you my final thoughts on what happened at UFC 326. Just be here or be squared. We'll see you guys at the next video. Peace.